Good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Alain. Take two. The sound was not working the first episode. Didn't know while I was recording until at the end. We're doing it again. I'll go back and delete the ones that didn't have sound. So, Book Saturday. We're going to talk about The Last Juror by John Grisham and one of the Executioner books, Jungle Conflict. Those are the books on the show today. I'm drinking out of my book mug, all those books that I enjoyed as a kid. Want to encourage you to read. Read for enjoyment, read for education. Read the newsletter. You can get it at enjoylifesafely.com. It's free. You can get it by downloading the free ebook guide, How to Stay Safe in This Crazy World. Now, you can get the online course, How to Stay Safe in This Crazy World. Cost you less than a pizza that you'd buy tonight. A lot of information going further into it to keep you and your family safe. If you don't get the course, at least get the free ebook, get the newsletter. That has a lot of information keeping you safe as well. But if you want a little bit more, check out that online course. Now let's talk about the books that I wanted to talk about. I should be pretty good at talking about them because I just did on that show that the sound wasn't working. But the first book, The Last Juror by John Grisham. One of John Grisham's books. As you know, I've been reading quite a few of his. I had a ton of them, and as I'm paring down my library, I'm reading them. Sometimes I've read them before, and I'm reading them again, getting rid of them. This one I had never read before, so it was the first time I ever read this. I wouldn't say it's my favorite John Grisham, but it was still good. It's told from the point of a guy that owns a small town newspaper who covers the trial and things that happen afterwards. So, good story. John Grisham is a master storyteller, and I've liked just about every book I've ever read by him. And so I did enjoy this. It was a fun, good read. And that's what we read novels for some entertainment, for some escapism, and just to be entertained by a good story. And John Grisham does that. Now we got The Executioner. Same kind of thing. You read them for escapism. And this one, the story beside the book is probably more interesting than the book, right? I mean, these are formula written. They're all pretty similar, and they're just action-packed, shooting and stuff and killing and those kind of books. So they're fun, light, quick little reads. Now, I threw this one in and took it on my trip. Now, before I do that, I'm going to say good morning to Thad. Thad said, good morning. Audio is working now. Thanks, Dad. Yeah, I did that whole show silent for all of you. It wasn't silent for me, but it was silent for you. I'm glad it's working this time. But I threw this in my bag to read on the plane last week when I went to Florida for the Korean Martial Art Festival. They're easier to put in your bag and carry around. When I opened it up on the plane to read it, I was like, okay, who wrote this one? Because all of these newer ones are ghostwritten. I was like, oh, Jerry Van Cook. I know who that is. I have a couple of his Paladin things, and I wrote him an email or 2 years ago, and we corresponded a little bit. But then I turned the page, and I said, oh, wow, the dedication to James A. Keating. I know James. So when I got later to the airport, I took a picture of the cover and a picture of the dedication and sent it to James and said, hello, how you doing? It's been a while. Just thinking about you because of the book. Wanted to see how you're doing. And James wrote back, said, oh, thank you, man. That must be one of the ones that Jerry wrote, because he did a lot of ghostwriting for those books. And we just, had a little bit of a chat. It was good to connect with James because of this book. And so that was sort of cool on the trip. Another little interesting thing about these, Jerry wrote this one because Don Pendleton wrote the originals back in the 70s. And Mac Bolan, the executioner, was going after organized crime and mafia. Later, Don Pendleton stopped, and that publisher, Gold Eagle, bought all the rights and just started pumping out one a month with all these different ghostwriters. My friend Phil Elmore, who's been on the show, he wrote some of these, and we talked about that before. This one happened to be written by Jerry Van Cook. So they're just being pumped out. And I read a lot of the real early ones, probably earlier than I should have. I mean, I was an early reader, just reading. And so I learned about snuff films from the Executioner series back when I was in grade school, because I was reading my older stepbrother's Executioner books back in the 70s, the original Don Pendleton ones. So later on, I had a chance to pick up just a whole bunch of these newer Gold Eagle Executioners, and I have a bunch. And the last couple of years, I've just been reading them and donate them off. You know, I'm on a flight, I need a light book, grab one of those, read it on the plane, then now I'll donate it off. But I was reading the originals way back in the 70s as grade school, probably when I shouldn't have been. They were probably a little older than I should have been reading. I don't know if my parents would have liked me learning about snuff films and some of those kind of things in grade school, but I did. Those are the books this weekend. We have The Last Juror, John Grisham, just a fun legal novel. A little different because it's the perspective of the newspaper owner in that small town covering the trial and the things that come after. And one of the Executioner real quick reads, just a formula book with lots of killing and action, and they're fun. Want to say good morning to Richard. Richard's here and said, good morning. The Executioner is like junk food between healthier meals, fun for a snack. Exactly. This would be your junk food book. You know, it's a Harlequin romance novel for guys. That's sort of what they are. They're tough guy Harlequin romance books. You got the Harlequin romance with the romance stuff for, you know, that people like. And then those that don't like those kind of books, like the tough guy action killing kind of stuff. So, and that's what they did. Just like Harlequin romance, they were pumping one of these out every month with those ghostwriters. But they're fun, lightweight junk food to do every once in a while. Dixon's here. Thank you, Dixon. Dixon said, yes, loud and clear this time. The audio's working. And Dixon said, I love the Executioner series. And Dixon, if you love the Executioner series, you probably like the Destroyer series also. I like the Destroyer series better than the Executioner. And that's Remo Williams and Chen, more martial arts. Chen was the Korean martial artist from Sin and Ju. I have more of those back on the shelf too that I'm going to be reading and getting rid of. Those were probably my favorite by Warren and Murphy. But the Executioner came in a close second when you talk about those type of junk food little books. Appreciate all of you guys joining and commenting. Appreciating people coming in to the second time and letting me know the first one wasn't working. Dixon said, yes, absolutely, about the Destroyer. Everybody, be sure to get the free ebook at enjoylifesafely.com and the newsletter. Check out the course if you're so inclined. Good information to keep you safe. I'm going to say good morning to Gina before I leave. What a total Gen X childhood. I learned about sex reading Harlequins. So she's reading Harlequins. I'm reading Executioner, probably before our parents wanted us to, but that was a Gen X thing. Exactly. Thank you for being here, Gina. Appreciate all of you. Make it a spectacular Saturday, and I'll be back to see you tomorrow.